All right, students, I'm gonna show you guys how I would edit this photo right here. Shout out to Dominique, she was definitely the model. Shout out to AJBB, she put me on to the model, and she also did her hair. So we're gonna start off with Lightroom. Like I say in every other tutorial, I always start my photos off in Lightroom because it allows you to color correct and just get the main stuff out the way. Like you can do this stuff in the Photoshop, but Lightroom, everything is just to the right, and pretty much what you see is what you get. If you want to adjust something, you just literally pick that area, with exposure. Take it down, bring it up. You want to add your blacks in. Like with Lightroom, what you see is what you get, and literally it really doesn't get any simpler than that. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Very first thing I'll always do, I'm gonna go ahead and crop. It just helps my eyes adjust to the edits. I'm gonna zoom in. I'm pretty much just looking at everything I'm gonna fix. I see this water spot right here we're gonna get rid of. I see areas on our face that we're gonna clean up. The makeup was actually on point. We're just gonna get rid of some of those blemishes. And for some reason we got like some line right here. I guess that's like a hair or something on the lens, but we'll see. This was shot with a Canon T6. I was using the 50mm, and here go my settings right here. ISO was at 800, my f-stop was at 11, and my shutter speed was 1/125th of a second. So let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I always bring in my blacks and my shadows. I always bring those back. Why? Because like when you shoot in camera and you shoot in RAW. I actually ended up shooting these in JPEG by mistake, but it don't matter. But it just takes away some of the color once you import it into Lightroom. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna actually bring my highlights I'm gonna bring them up just a little bit, both of them, and then for the most part I'm good with that. So that would be my color correct. All right, from there I'm gonna go ahead and load this up into Photoshop. And to do that, you hit Command E if you're on a Mac, and I think if you're on PC, I want to say it's Option E or something like that. So all right, so very first thing I'm gonna do, anything that just kind of stands out, that's what I'm getting rid of. So this water spot is bothering me. I'm gonna go ahead and use the healing brush. I'm gonna just select this point right here, and I'm gonna just paint over that. I'll zoom back out, and now I'm just looking around the face to see any blemishes or areas that need to be fixed. I'm only using two tools. I'm probably just use the healing brush and the clone stamp tool. So I'm gonna start with the healing brush, and all I'm gonna do is just pick points next to the blemish and then just paint over it. The difference between the healing brush and the clone stamp tool is the clone stamp is literally like a copy and paste. The healing brush is copy and paste as well, but it just blends it out a little bit better. It gives it a more realistic look. So I'll show you a difference between it in a minute. So right now we're just healing. As you can see, it's just blending everything out for me. Since we'll be using the skin smoothing software, the neural filters on Photoshop 2021, you do not have to be perfect with this. You just really just getting rid of the big stuff, I want to say. Because actually the new Photoshop does a pretty good job of smoothing. So come right here and still just going around it. Anything noticeable or anything you don't like. Aren't really any rules to this. It's just you as the photographer, like how much you want to edit and get rid of. Like it's not like a set amount, say, oh, you have to specifically do it this way. It's just whatever works best for you. All right, so for the most part it's done. Now you see right here, I'm gonna show you the difference between the healing brush and the clone stamp. So this is the healing brush. I'm gonna try to get rid of this right here with the healing brush. As you can see, it just kind of blended it, and it didn't do a very good job. So this in certain situations you want to use the clone stamp tool. So I'm gonna go to the clone stamp. Shortcut for that is S on the keyboard, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna pick a point and just paint over it. And as you can see, it did a way better job of blending it out and making it look more realistic. I'm gonna hit it again and just bring that top lip back, and just like that, we're pretty much done. This laugh line right here, it is bothering me a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my healing brush tool. I'm gonna pick a point right next to it, and we just gonna paint over that, just like that. If it doesn't blend, you just hit it a couple more times. For the most part, I'm good with this, because like I said, the skin smoothing software that the new Photoshop provides does get rid of everything for you. So really, you're just trying to make sure it all blends out evenly. I'm gonna hit this area right here. We just matching up colors. Like, that's one way to look at Photoshop. and when you're smoothing our skin, you're really just matching colors. So if you look at it like that, editing really not that difficult. All right, so for the most part, that's good. You can play with this as much as you like. I'm gonna probably hit it one more time, but like if I don't like it, we can just airbrush over it in the end, which I'm gonna probably end up doing. All right, so for the most part, that's good. Her face is pretty clear. From there, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna head to the newer filters. Now again, you have to have Photoshop 2021 in order to do this. If you don't have it, if you have the Creator Suite, it's included. Just go ahead and download the upgrade. So you wanna go to Filter and then Newer Filters. As you can see, Photoshop is loading it up and it automatically knows where the face is at. All right, and all you literally gonna do is gonna hit the skin smoothing filter. Now it's up to you how much you want to smooth it, and you know, whatever the effect that you want, but it's finding that sweet spot. So I'm gonna show you guys the setting that I normally use. I normally bring my blur pretty low because I want my picture kind of smooth. Like I don't want it like too smooth, but then I'm gonna bring my smoothness up just a little bit. You feel me? Like I still want the photo to be sharp, I just want her skin to be smooth. So it's really just looking for that sweet spot, and you just kind of going back and forth between the filters to see what you kind of like. Me, I'm good with that. Like I always keep my settings right around here. It does just enough for me, because like after I get done with this, I also take it back into Lightroom and I add my final effects to it. So I'm gonna hit OK, and as you can see when you zoom in, her face is pretty much it's smooth. Like I'm good with that. It still gave it a realistic look. I'm gonna go in and tighten it up just a little bit. I'm gonna get rid of some of these little areas. Oh, now as you can see over here, it made like a whole new layer. So here, there you go. So you can turn the effect on and off, and you can adjust it from there if you need to. I'm good with that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually just merge the layers. Now I'm gonna come back in here and I'm gonna just tighten this up, get rid of some of these little extra blemishes that I don't want in the photo. Hit this part on the nose right quick. Like I know a lot of people frequency separate, but Photoshop actually made this way easier, because you can't tell me this don't look realistic, bro. All right, now I'm gonna come up here to right here. I'm gonna hit these flyaways. I'm gonna use the clone stamp tool for this because I want that copy. You feel me? I want the flyaways completely gone. And all you're gonna do is you're just gonna pick a part next to it, some of that white empty space, and then you just gonna paint over it. Like that. I know I didn't talk about it, but these are my settings for my my clone stamp. My opacity is at 100 and my flow is at 26, and I'm using a soft brush to kind of make everything blend. But when it starts to blend a little bit too much, like as you can see, it'll get soft. If you don't want soft edges, what you want to do is you want to come over here and you want to adjust your hardness, bring that to 100. And what that does is, as you can see, it sharpens, well not sharpens it, but you know, it gets rid of those flyaways without that smooth tip on the end. All right, scroll up a little bit. Let's try not to put too much time into this. I want this to be a quick tutorial, but it's gonna bother me, so now I gotta get rid of this stuff. All right, I'm gonna zoom out. For the most part, I'm good with that. Now, normally, I'm gonna have to go over here and hit it again. Might as well make it a full tutorial. Let's get rid of the flyaways altogether. As you can see, I kind of missed on that phone, but don't worry about it. We can fix that in a sec. Let's just go ahead and hit this really quick. And it was just supposed to be a skin smoothing tutorial. Y'all got me out here really editing this thing, bro. It's all good. All right. Wait, let me hit it one more time. So instead of taking away, I'm gonna actually just add to it, but doing the same thing. So I'm gonna just pick some of the hair and just drag it over. With this one, I'm gonna probably use a soft brush. That way that blends a little bit better. With Photoshop, you really just picking, like, you just trying to, like with me when I edit, I try to do this in as less clicks as possible. So whatever gonna get the job done the fastest. So sometimes it's better to add, sometimes it's better to subtract. It's really up to you. Man, I messed it up. Hold on. Put my hardness back. That way we not getting no soft edges. All right. I'm good with this now because y'all ain't finna have me on this all day. All right, I'm gonna come over here to an eye. I'm gonna hit this little glitter spot. Again, I'm gonna use the healing brush, paint over that, and I think I'm about good with that. So I'm gonna hit Command S. I'm gonna send that back into Lightroom. But you know, for most people, you could be done with this, but I always like to take it a step further. So I take it back into Lightroom. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my blacks down just a little bit more. As you can see, we're giving it a whole nother look. I'm gonna take my shadows down a little bit more again, just slightly, because you don't want to do it too much. And then I'm gonna actually come down here to my sharpening tool, and I always sharpen just a little bit, and I always add just a little bit of grain just to give it that realistic feel. So I give it that frequency separation look that everybody's going for. Now again, you could be done with this as well, but you could take it another step further. These are your radial filters. I don't know if anybody's familiar with this, but you can do so much with it. I'm gonna actually make an exposure brush, an exposure filter, and I'm gonna just put it over like that. Now you can create your own little vignette or something like that, or you can completely adjust the light by turning it and giving it a completely different look. Completely up to you as the photographer, but for the most part, I'm probably good with it just the regular way. Man, nah, I don't play with it too long now. Hold on. It's kind of hard. Like that. You can adjust that how you see fit, and if you want to change the background color or give it like a little tint, you can just do something like that, play with all of that. Bring some of that back in. All right, technically you're done. Technically I'm done. You can play with that as much as you would like. You could probably add some little filter or whatever to it. I don't look at it too long now, so I'm gonna actually take this filter off. You know, no, I like it. I'm gonna leave it. Darken that just a little bit, and that would be your final image. I know I said I was probably gonna clean that part up, but this tutorial went way too long. But like I said, this would be your skin smoothing tutorial, your frequency separation, or whatever you want to call it. As you see, it still looks realistic. Doesn't look like it was painted over too much. And that's the end of that.